Trump just went absolutely nuclear after Jon Stewart did what many considered unthinkable.
Do you understand? Trump is presenting himself as a Jedi, but his lightsaber is red. And the only way you can have a red lightsaber is by infusing its kyber crystal with the power of your rage and hate, thereby corrupting it into a vessel for the dark side. Therefore, every one of those photos that Trump is putting out there, he is admitting he's not a Jedi.
Stewart, the former Daily Show host, launched into Trump with such precision that it apparently left the former president fuming. What exactly did Stewart say that was so devastating it reportedly had Melania dropping her usual stoic expression? It involved some choice observations about golf carts, classified documents, and a bewildered Secret Service agent. The fallout wasn't just Trump getting upset. Melania supposedly entered the fray with unexpected vigor. According to the transcript, Trump is currently dealing with historically low approval ratings. Just 39% of Americans approve of his job performance, making him the least popular president at the 100-day mark in the past 80 years. As the transcript puts it, suck it, Herbert Hoover. Trump's ratings are 11 points underwater, though the transcript jokes that he isn't concerned about being underwater because he's equipped with a flotation unit protective accessory. The content suggests Melania was unusually angry, not just her typical sunglasses indoors annoyed, but full-blown Botox just twitched levels of rage. The catalyst for this supposed meltdown? Jon Stewart had the audacity to criticize Donald Trump. The transcript describes Melania's reaction as going off like a malfunctioning Roomba in a marble hallway. It references Trump launching a trade war without any of the pre-planning and preparation and suggests his staff had to go along with it because he's described as an impulsive man they have to placate to avoid his vindictiveness. The transcript frames this not just as a former talk show host poking at Trump, but as Melania leaping into the fray with all the grace of a malfunctioning AI. Stewart is portrayed as doing what he's known for, pointing out painfully obvious truth about Trump's recent behavior, particularly regarding the legal system, which is characterized as Trump trying to define the law as whatever I want it to be. Melania, whose public image is described as somewhere between trapped Eastern European debutante and ghost of Christmas apathy, apparently decided Stewart's comments were one insult too many. The content suggests there's one thing Melania won't tolerate: people publicly highlighting her husband's supposed incompetence, describing this defense as her sacred duty, her marital obligation. The transcript includes what appears to be a quote from Melania. They are biased and they have likes and dislikes, and it's so obvious, and I think American people see it. It was their decision, and I have much more important things to do. What supposedly triggered this chain of events was Stewart suggesting that Trump isn't the sharpest crayon in the fascist coloring book, implying he lacks qualification to yell witch hunt whenever legal accountability approaches. Melania reportedly lost it, which the transcript sarcastically describes as her furrowing her brows, grabbing her diamond-encrusted iPhone, and typing an all-caps tweet with fewer vowels than a Welsh road sign. The text points out the irony of Melania, described as someone who speaks about as often as your houseplants, but with less emotional warmth, suddenly engaging in a public spat defending Trump's honor. It characterizes Trump as someone whose idea of subtlety is yelling his bank balance through a megaphone at a tax fraud trial. The transcript continues by painting the scene as absurdly theatrical. Melania defending Trump is compared to trying to defend a raccoon that keeps setting your kitchen on fire while insisting it's inventing a new culinary genre. It mockingly suggests her defenses of Trump would sound like, no, he didn't commit fraud, he's innovating finances. He didn't lie, he's just creatively editing reality. He didn't grope, he loves America deeply with both hands. Trump reportedly loved Melania's reaction, with the transcript joking that in Trump's world, love isn't about affection, support, or shared humanity. It's about publicly humiliating yourself on his behalf. So he can reshare it with captions like best wife, number one wife, other wives jealous, believe me. The transcript includes what seems to be another Melania quote. My first priority is, to be a mom, to be a first lady, to be a wife. The content then compares Melania's outburst to a decorative vase threatening to punch you. Cute but unthreatening. It references her infamous "I don't care, do you" jacket incident, suggesting her idea of protest is wearing clothing with provocative messages while under contractual obligation. The writer expresses bewilderment that Melania has decided now is the time to reclaim her throne as queen of misplaced outrage, defending a man who allegedly thinks classified documents are souvenirs. Meanwhile, Stewart is portrayed as probably sipping a lukewarm craft beer in Brooklyn, confused how a stand-up joke escalated into a diplomatic incident between a sentient tangerine and his ghost wife. The transcript contrasts Stewart's advocacy for 9/11 first responders with Melania, whose main achievement is blinking slowly at Christmas trees. The transcript then shifts, suggesting the public holds the real power. Trump is so arrogant, he thinks the leverage is ours, we the people. It describes 250 years of striving to uphold a constitutional republic and rule of law as painstaking. The content claims MAGA supporters loved Stewart's comments, despite typically rejecting facts as part of a globalist cabal and viewing vowels as coastal elitism. Stewart is characterized as the satire sniper with laser-guided sarcasm, whose precision makes you almost have to admire it. Meanwhile, Trump's team has been flailing like a flaming inflatable at a car dealership, while Stewart arrives like a precision airstrike of logic and mockery. The transcript compares Stewart's return to sending the man who turned The Daily Show into a weapon of mass humiliation. It suggests Stewart's verbal carpet bombing is landing while Trump faces numerous lawsuits, more charges than a shorted Tesla battery, yet still holds rallies as if he won't be frog-marched off-stage mid-chant. Stewart isn't just roasting Trump, but slow-cooking him over a spit made of subpoenas and sarcasm. The transcript then includes what appears to be another quoted segment. The thought police come next to punish thought crime. Be very, very scared. This is followed by what seems like Stewart's response. I am perhaps not for the reasons you are the thought police with you right now. The content circles back to its central theme that in Trump's world, reality is optional and facts are for suckers. Yes, if Stewart says something Trump dislikes, Trump can just wind up your Slovenian mannequin press tweet and call it a productive day in the land of delusion. The transcript portrays Melania's defenders as frothing at the mouth like rabid chihuahuas, proudly claiming her response proves she's a bold, independent woman. The writer sarcastically notes that nothing screams empowerment quite like jumping to the defense of a man who once wondered aloud if chugging bleach might cure a respiratory illness. They frame this as not just watching the downfall of common sense, but witnessing feminism's final boss battle being fought with emoji-laden tweets and pouty glamour shots. The content then shifts focus back to Stewart, describing him as having spent decades surgically inserting logic into American discourse like a national therapist with a comedy degree, instead of battling ignorance and championing truth. He's now supposedly being ratioed by someone whose autobiography would likely be titled, I'm sorry, I don't understand the question, but here's a glamorous photo of me pretending to read. The transcript includes what appears to be a Stewart quote asking who told Trump about the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, suggesting Trump didn't discover it himself. The writer highlights the apparent hypocrisy of Melania's sudden defense, asking where all this fire was when Trump was literally doing all the things Jon Stewart just mentioned. Describing her as previously silent, vanished, posing next to Christmas trees like a confused department store mannequin, they note she only springs to life like an animatronic that just got plugged back in when someone criticizes her husband on television. The transcript characterizes this as living in a timeline where Melania Trump is the moral compass for a man who once tried to start a war on Twitter. People supposedly applaud this as a classy defense, which the writer compares to calling a Waffle House brawl performance art. With Stewart back in the spotlight, armed with facts, logic, and heaven forbid, a working vocabulary that stretches beyond tremendous and sad, the Trump household is portrayed as visibly rattled. The writer suggests you can practically hear the gold-plated chandeliers trembling at Mar-a-Lago because Stewart represents something frightening to Trump world, reality, described as that terrifying, unfiltered, unphotoshopped concept where actions have consequences and facts still matter. The transcript references the manner by which data and your experiences paint a cohesive, grounded picture of reality, calling it the calling card of an authoritarian regime when you must suspend that reality, that rationality, as leaders test people by pushing the limits. Unlike Trump, Stewart doesn't yell, puff up like a reality TV rooster on Truth Social, sell NFTs of his face photoshopped onto Mount Rushmore, or hawk $990 0 cents Bibles wrapped in more stars and stripes than an Independence Day parade float. Instead, he does something far more dangerous in today's political circus. He calmly tells the truth, uses full sentences, cites sources, and dares to say things like, climate change is real, and maybe we shouldn't let conspiracy theorists run the country. To the Trump clan, Stewart isn't just a critic, but a buzzkill in a world built entirely on delusion. While Trump shouts, "witch hunt," whenever asked to return classified documents, Stewart watches from the sidelines with a dry smile and a stack of receipts. He doesn't need legal processes to make Trump uncomfortable, just a camera, a monologue, and an audience willing to listen. Because when you've built your empire on smoke, mirrors, and gold-plated grift, the last thing you want is someone holding up a mirror, and not the kind that says you're the fairest of them all. The script concludes by framing the entire spectacle as another entry in the ever-growing volume of how the Trump family turned democracy into performance art. It's not politics, but pageantry, loud, garish, and overacted, like a bad soap opera written by a reality TV producer on expired Red Bull. It's described as entertaining in a please let this be satire kind of way, though the writer notes that satire requires exaggeration and questions,